I'm a municipal lawyer, licensed.
Yeah.
It takes me 6 months to get a zoning change for a barber shop. They voted for a $1.15 billion with a B dollar deal in 2 days.
Okay, let's move on this, because what you said, Mr. Smith, is another question that I just had. Is Chicago's African-American political power a thing of the past? Now, let me preface that.
Oh, you don't have
because
to
we saw what happened to the 3 black candidates running for mayor. They got pummeled, okay? But bigger than that, will we have a strong mayor, weak council? Rahm Emanuel's in town now, and it's high noon. Or will we have a stronger council? Talk to me.
Yeah, let me tell you this here. First of all, you got a terrible council at this moment. So I'm saying, well, black aldermen, we're talking about black aldermen, to do what? To do what in their communities? They go along to get along. So, I mean, if you go along to get along, you can't change anything in that vein. Yeah, you're going to have a stronger aldermanic contingency when people like myself is elected to that office, because I believe in a strong council, weak mayor. The mayor don't activate legislation, the city council does. The city council derives its power from Springfield and the Constitution of the state of Illinois. And so people got to understand those type of dynamics, to understand why you send an alderman down there, not to go along to get along, but to bring back your fair share.
You know what? You mentioned Alderman Wagasback. You talk about a free-thinking progressive who's not afraid to go against the mayor. Right. So often, we're dealing with aldermen who may have cut some deals with Mayor Daley back in the day, who may want to say no, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna say yes. And that's frustrating to me. Before I go to a package here, let me read some comments here quickly from Facebook. Kelly says, Gerard Cochran is getting my vote. Pamela says, Hal Baskin all the way. Tina says, if I lived in the 6th Ward, Roderick would have my vote. Of course, she's referring to Mr. Sawyer. And I'm looking at a comment here from Janice. Janice says, I would vote for the rapper Che Smith. Rahm Emanuel, he'll be the new mayor, and aldermen will have to work with him regardless. It's time for Student Views. Hey, let's give a listen.
This week, Chicago's Mayor-elect Rahm Emanuel visited Kennedy King College, one of the 7 city colleges of Chicago, to talk with students about Chicago2011.org and how their ideas can help Chicago grow and prepare our city for the future.
You have ideas about how to reform the city, save the city money. You're obviously users of a city service, community colleges. You have ideas, bring them forward on the internet. Chicago2011.org.
We were also able to ask the mayor-elect questions and air our concerns about jobs, education, and public safety. Shortly after being elected, you stated that you would like to create more opportunities for students earning their 2-year degree here in the city colleges and students earning their 4-year degrees to be able to get better jobs and better paying jobs when they graduate from school. Exactly how do you plan to implement this, and how soon will students see results?
I want our community colleges more involved in our high schools, so those kids know that college is part of their future. I want our community colleges geared towards training people that over the next 10 years, here are the industries that are growth in Chicago. I want to make sure you're getting the skill set and the capacity, so it's not just for this job, but so you can succeed wherever you go.
Reinvention is the theme of all 7 of the city colleges here in Chicago. So we asked Mr. Emanuel. If Rahm Emanuel was not elected mayor of Chicago, if Rahm Emanuel was not in politics today, where exactly would Rahm Emanuel be, and what would he be doing?
Well, you just take a page out of my past, okay? At one other time, I taught at Northwestern when I left the President Clinton side. I taught a class on the press and the presidency. I've always found the academics interesting. I also spent time in the private sector, but one way or another, I would find my way back into public service.
We appreciated Rahm Emanuel's visit, and like the rest of Chicago, we are all eager to see what happens when the new mayor takes office. With Student Views, I'm Charles Stennis.
You're watching Off 63rd here on WYCC TV 20. I've got 3 august gentlemen with me, Mr. Sawyer, Mr. Baskin and Mr. Smith. Rahm Emanuel, he's laying his platform out. He's got this amazing website up saying, hey, if you got the skills, send your resume in Word doc format or PDF. I mean, is he doing the right thing here? That's the first question. Second question, will you go for Rahm Emanuel's endorsement? Is he doing the right thing with the website, and will you go for his endorsement? Let me start with Mr. Smith.
I think he's definitely doing the right thing. I think that to use technology and new forms of social media is a way to reach out to people who may not be able to do the traditional ways, you know, of reaching out. And as far as, what was the second question?
The endorsement.
The endorsement, I'm looking for someone who wants to support the 20th Ward and the South Side of Chicago. If that's what your platform is, and if you're working toward with that, we will accept any help, yes.
Okay. If he's reaching out for those innovative ideas in terms of using the internet and other social networking, I can agree with that. But in terms of, will I reach out to him? Will I accept the endorsement? All I want is an endorsement of the people, because the people have to elect you to go out there in order to fight some battles. As you know, the last mayor appointed 33 city council members.
Ouch.
So that means that they couldn't say no to him if they wanted to. And I don't want that same thing happening to our people to get shortchanged. See, and I'm sick and tired of people like most of the aldermen saying, what do they do with our tax dollars? Our tax dollars pay for everything from streets, curbs and gutters, tree trimming, policemen, firemen, and the rest of it. And every time you see a piece of legal literature, this is what they say. Well, I got this for you. My tax dollars paid for that, and I saw my tax bill recently, and I don't say alderman such and such and so-and-so paid this for me.
Yeah, sometimes.
The taxpayers pay that, and they get it confused. The citizens get it confused. We got to educate the citizenry, let them know that their tax dollars pay for that. They're entitled to that. No one gives that to them.
Yeah.
So if the mayor, I'm saying, if he's a weak mayor and we have a strong city council, we can do the things we need to do. A mayor don't produce legislation in the city council, but the city councilmen do. And we got to educate our people so they understand those type of dynamics.
But
the mayor can push forward some of the legislation and try to round up some of the aldermen to get the votes, the 26 votes.
Okay, we're going to see, we're going to see about this, because Daley was wielding a very sharp and very big sword when it came to that council. And let me come to Mr. Sawyer here quickly.
Let me say this. I agree with the two gentlemen here regarding the social networking and the media. But in my race, for example, the mayor-elect has already made their decision and endorsed the incumbent. Not have a problem with that. The problem that I have with that, when I read the paper, it was my understanding, and maybe you all read that as well, that he was going to reach out to all candidates. I did not get a phone call. I did not get an email or a text or anything like that, or smoke screen, anything like that. And that's fine, because I was not seeking his endorsement that way. He was predetermined. So someone has been co-opted already. Well, so it's not me. And like I said, I look forward to working with the mayor, not for the mayor.
And what I would say is this, you know, in terms of politics in general in Chicago, I think we look at it as one way or the other. I don't think it has to be that way. When we look at Walmart, we looked and we saw Walmart made a deal with the unions in order for the Walmart to be in Chicago. So now there will be union workers contracting to build the Walmart. The workers are going to be paid higher wages. So we saw two people come together, but so often, and especially in African-American politics, they want you to choose a side. Choose one side or the other. Yeah. I think it's unsophisticated, and I think under a Chase Smith office, you would see someone who's willing to work with both ends for the betterment of the ward.
Let me ask this question quickly, and then I'm going to go to phone lines. I just need this right down the line here. Chase Smith, did Chicago have a consensus black candidate for mayor?
No.
Okay, Mr. Baskin?
No, not at all.
We have a consensus.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
That's good. You know, I mean, and you want to elaborate?
I grew up in politics, and I guess I'm talking more on the committeeman side now. When you endorse a candidate, you carried a candidate.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand how these committeemen in the city of Chicago endorse candidates, but not carry one. I'm for Carol. That does, you know, when I'm for you, that means I spend money for you. I get troops out for you. I make an investment in you.
I'm for you, but I don't have your back.
Right now, that's all this was. I'm for you. I'm for you because I'm scared what the black community is going to say if I don't be for you.
You know what? Let me go to the phone lines.
Now the problem with this.
Go ahead, make it quick. Then I'm going to go to phone lines.
The problem with the consensus candidate, they didn't come up with no consensus money to put the consensus candidate out there.
Thank you. Phone lines. You can call me at 773-487-3630, 773-487-3630. You're on the line, off 63rd. What's your comment this evening?
How you doing, Mr. McClendon? My name is Sherman. And
How you doing, Sherman?
I wanted to speak. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask the gentleman, you alluded to the fact that people get what they get because they accept what they accept. I want to know, as a former Chicago myself in the 24th Ward, what are you guys willing to accept, period, in terms of getting what your constituents want?
Wow. Well, what are you willing to put up with? What are you willing to accept? Are any of you gonna cut any deals?
That's a very broad question, and I think that it's hard to answer that question without it being qualified. It has to be qualified with what are we specifically talking about. There are a host of issues, and my thing is you need a whole system solution to deal with a whole system problem. We can't talk about education unless we can talk about drug addiction, malnutrition, self-hate issues. We can't talk about jobs unless we can talk about the reentry programs with prisons. So when you're talking about what is it that we're willing to put up with, we're already pulling up with everything up to our heads. What is it that we can do to lower what we're putting up with?
Good. Let me come to Roderick Sawyer when it comes to biggest concerns in your community right now. Give me two biggest concerns.
Biggest concerns, they all intertwine, but economic development and crime, if we don't have economic development, we foster crime because people don't have jobs, they get frustrated, they have too much time on their hands.
What do you do to foster economic development?
We grow. For example, we're bordered by 4 airlines. I have one proposal that I want to put out that we'd have no economic development engines around our train stops. That means no park and rides, no coffee shops, no things that they have in other communities. I propose that we do that, and we have desolate land around all our L stops. We need to start getting things like that that can generate jobs, generates new tax base, generates new businesses. Yeah. I was on the 69th Street L stop the other day. I could not buy a paper. Oh. There was not a paper stand there. Paper stand guy can make $100,000 a year. That's one job I'm referring to.
I got to move to Mr. Baskin. Concerns, you got to make it quick.
Crimes, and jobs.
What are you going to do about it?
First of all, you got to have a relationship with the 3 commanders in the 3 districts, 7, 8, and 9, in order to fashion a plan that you can work collectively with them and people in the community. In terms of jobs you're talking about, they want to bring 30 Walmarts in the city of Chicago. If you calculate that about $8 million, I mean, that's $160 million of new tax revenue comes into Chicago. If you use the 255,000 light poles in the city of Chicago and take 150,000 of them and put banners over there and lease that banner space, guess what? It'll generate from $120 million to $360 million per year.
Rhymefest Smith, you get the last word.
I'm going to say education and jobs because education prevents crime.
Okay.
$7,000 to educate, $40,000 to incarcerate.
Gentlemen, thanks for being on Off 63rd. Where does the time go? I need to say thanks to my guests, Roderick Sawyer, Hal Baskin, and Che Smith for being on Off 63rd. The conversation continues. Give me a call after the show, 773-487-1352. That's my voicemail. Email me at Garrard@off63rd.com, and you can also go to our website, www.off63rd.com. We thank the McCormick Foundation and the Field Foundation for their contributions, providing a voice for Chicago students through media. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hey, remember, victory, it's yours. I need you to stay positive, keep your head up, and always be encouraged. Good night.